You know, for thousands of years, we've made maps to figure out our world. But what if the most important map being drawn today isn't of mountains or oceans, but of, well, us? Every single day, we're all chipping in, creating this giant, invisible map of our digital lives. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and actually see it.
Just think about it for a second. Have you ever checked into a cafe, tagged a photo at the beach, or even just added your city to a post? I bet you have. And that one simple, tiny action, that's where this whole story kicks off.
That little tap, something you probably don't even think about, does something pretty amazing. It creates a single piece of geographic information. It's like leaving a tiny digital breadcrumb that connects that moment in your life to a real place on the planet.
Okay, now imagine that one tap, but multiply it by billions of people sharing stuff online every single hour of every single day. Suddenly, it's not just a breadcrumb trail anymore, is it? It's a massive flowing river of location data. And all that information comes together to create a living, breathing map of human activity.
But here's the really cool part. This map isn't just a random splash of dots. It tells stories. It shows these hidden patterns about how we live, what we care about, and even how ideas catch fire and spread across the world. So let's figure out how to read it.
All right, so let's dig into the science here. There's a whole field dedicated to this, and it's all about the power of one simple question: where?
It's called spatial analytics. Now, it sounds complicated, but the idea is actually pretty simple. It's the science of taking all that raw location data, all those geotags and check-ins, and turning it into something we can actually use. It's about adding that crucial layer of where to our understanding of, well, pretty much anything.
And this is what really separates it from the kind of data analysis you might be used to. See, standard analytics tells you what happened. For example, it might say, this hashtag went viral. Cool. But spatial analytics tells you where it happened, showing you the exact hotspots where it exploded, things you would have totally missed otherwise. It's all about that context.
So you might be wondering, how is all this location data being captured from our posts anyway? It's not always as obvious as you might think. Of course, there's the one you know, direct geotagging, when you actively add a location. But it goes way deeper than that. Platforms can use your phone's GPS, they can make a surprisingly good guess based on your IP address, or they can even just pull the city you listed in your profile. They've got a lot of ways to put you on the map.
Now bet ready for this. With all those methods, you'd think most posts have a location attached, right? But the research shows that only about 1% of all tweets are explicitly geotagged. Just 1%.
But hold on. Before you dismiss that number, let's put it into perspective. 1% of the hundreds of billions of posts flying around out there is still an absolutely enormous, staggering amount of data. It's more than enough for analysts to find some seriously powerful stuff. Okay, so we have this mountain of data. How in the world do we actually make sense of it all? Well, that's where visualization comes in. Let's walk through the 4 most common types of maps that analysts use to tell these stories. First up, we've got choropleth maps. I know, it's a mouthful, but the name actually gives you a hint. It comes from the Greek words for region and multitude. So here's how they work. You're looking at a map where different regions, like countries or states, are shaded in. And it's super simple. The darker the shade, the higher the number of whatever you're measuring. It gives you this instant, big-picture view of where things are most intense. They are perfect for comparing different areas. You can see which countries are buzzing about your brand, or which parts of a city feel more positive or negative about something. Next up, something a little more direct: dot density maps. Their real power is just how simple and intuitive they are. The idea here is exactly what it sounds like. Every single dot you see on the map represents one data point, one tweet, one check-in, you name it. So, where you see a huge cluster of dots packed together, that's where all the action is happening. It's that easy to read. All right, our third type is the symbol map, which takes a slightly different approach to showing how much of something is happening. Here, instead of shading or a swarm of dots, you use a symbol, usually a circle. And the size of that circle tells you the whole story. A huge circle means a ton of activity or mentions. A tiny circle means not so much. It's fantastic for making quick comparisons between specific cities or points of interest. And finally, we've got the one you've probably seen the most, the spatial heat map. You might also know it as a density map. Yeah, this one has that classic weather radar look. The colors blend from cool blues to hot reds. And those bright red hotspots, that's where the conversation is absolutely on fire.
This is the go-to tool for finding the epicenters of a viral trend.
So these maps look really cool, for sure. But they are not just pretty pictures. This technology is having a massive impact out there in the real world right now.
I mean, just think about it. In public health, officials can track a disease outbreak in real time by mapping where people are mentioning symptoms. Businesses can analyze photos to find the perfect corner to open a new shop. Marketers can zero in on neighborhoods with the most local buzz. And maybe most importantly, during a crisis like a flood, rescue teams can map geotag calls for help to send aid exactly where it's needed most. This isn't just data, it's data that saves lives.
The power to map our collective stories is incredible. It can help us understand society, solve huge problems, and connect in brand new ways. But it also leaves us with a really crucial question to think about. When every post we make, every place we check in, can be added to this global map, who gets to hold the pen? And who gets to read the story that it tells?